Hello YouTube, Dave here again. My week-long travel through space continues, and today what I want to do is try to make a first-level character for the Starfinder role-playing game. So I picked up a bunch of Starfinder stuff over the holidays, and now I actually want to try to make a character and see how that works. So I did actually make a practice character last night, so I actually sort of had an idea of what I was doing today. And I'm going to be making that same character, but I'll be doing it in front of the camera. And basically what I want to do is kind of make this guy right here. So what I'm going to be making today is going to be a level 1 Vesk, which is like this big reptilian race. And it's going to be a soldier, and I'm going to use the Mercenary theme. And I'll kind of go more into details about that as we kind of go. So the first thing to do is just to look over our race and our theme. And so let's just get right to it here. So the themes are in the character creation section of the book. So here we go. So the different themes that are available in the core rulebook are Ace Pilot, Priest, Bounty Hunter, Scholar, Icon, Spacefarer, Mercenary, Xenoseeker, Outlaw, and Themeless. And basically what each of these themes do is they add some new abilities at various different levels. I think it's usually 1st, 6th, 12th, and 18th. The first level abilities are, from what I've seen, they all revolve around reducing typical skill DCs by 5 for your main skill that you would use. For example, with Mercenary, they reduce the skill DCs of the Profession Mercenary skill by 5. And I think if you don't have it, or if you don't take the typical skill associated with it at first level, I think you still get a +1 bonus or something like that. So anyway, so we'll start with that because we have it here. Now again, I want to make a Mercenary. So we got Ace Pilot here, Bounty Hunter, Icon, Mercenary. So the thing about these themes is they actually affect your character's stats as well. So our Mercenary gives us +1 to Strength, and at first level we only need to worry about the primary ability here. So what it says is you are knowledgeable, so we get theme knowledge. You are knowledgeable about the military, from rival mercenary groups to standard military procedures to planetary armed forces. You can draw upon this font of information to aid your adventurous pursuits. Reduce the DC of any culture checks and profession mercenary checks to recall knowledge about hierarchies, practices, and personnel, and so on in the military by 5. Athletics is a class skill for you, though if it is a class skill from the class you take at first level, you instead gain a +1 bonus to athletics checks. In addition, you gain the ability adjustment of +1 to strength at character creation. Alright, so we are going to get +1 athletics right off the bat. So I've got my character sheet here. So what I'm going to do, because I don't think athletics is one that I'm going to put skill ranks into when we get there. So athletics, we're going to put that miscellaneous +1 in there for now. Actually, I'm going to put it under class bonus because our armor is going to affect that as well. So I'm just going to do +1 here. Alright, so we got that, and we get +1 to strength. So I already have noted here all the different things that are granted by the background stuff. My handwriting's terrible, I apologize for that. But +1 strength, the theme knowledge, and then I've got like my racial stuff, class stuff, and everything's kind of, like I said, already taken care of, but we're just going to go through the steps here. And then I'll start filling everything in on camera. So we got our Mercenary, and now we want to make our Vesk race. So we need to find the abilities that they get. So here are our Vesk. And so what they get is, and I really apologize for the glare, but so they get +2 to Strength, +2 to Constitution, and -2 to Intelligence. They also gain 6 hit points for their race. So it's important to know that the way hit points and stuff work in Starfinder is you don't roll. You never roll hit points or anything like that. You just get a set amount based on your race and your class. So our race gives us 6 hit points, and our class will give us a certain number as well. But in addition to the hit points, the characters also have stamina points. And stamina points work very similar to hit points, except they are depleted first, so they're your ability to kind of shrug off or recover from hits or blows or things like that before you start taking actual hit point damage. And the cool thing about stamina points and hit points is stamina points kind of work in a way that hit points work in like 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons. So if you do a rest, like a full rest, you get all of your stamina points back. You can also spend what's called resolve points. You get a number of resolve points equal to half your level, minimum of 1, so at first level you get at least 1, plus the modifier for your class's main ability score. And you can spend those after completing, I think, at least a 10-minute rest to regain all of your stamina points as well. But the hit points represent your actual physical health, and they regenerate, I think, at a rate of, I think it's 1 hit point per level per day. So the stamina points, again, kind of work like 5th edition D&D hit points in that you can get them all back if you complete a rest. But your regular hit points function more like the 3rd edition hit points, where it's 1 per day per level. So it's kind of an interesting compromise, and I kind of like the idea. It's sort of more stuff to keep track of, unfortunately. Now, some attacks will actually bypass stamina points altogether and go straight to hit points, so that makes those attacks a little bit more lethal. And it does make actual hit point damage something to be a bit more concerned about. But anyway, getting a little bit sidetracked there, but I just thought I would explain that. And so what we got here is our race, so we got our adjustments there. So our abilities we get Armor Savant. We're also medium and have the Vesk subtype. So Vesk, we use armor in a way that complements their uniquely sturdy physiology. When wearing armor, gain a +1 racial bonus to AC. When they're wearing heavy armor, their armor check penalty is 1 less severe than normal. So if you have an armor check penalty of -3, and you're wearing heavy armor, it becomes -2. Or if it's -1, then and it's heavy armor, then you can actually bring it all the way down to 0. They also get Fearless, so Vesk receive a +2 racial bonus to saving throws against fear effects. They gain low light vision, so they can see in dim light as if it were normal light. And they have natural weapons. So you have unarmed strikes in this, which are considered archaic, and they deal non-lethal damage. Vesk are always considered armed. They can deal 1d3 lethal damage with unarmed strikes, and the attack doesn't count as archaic. And I'm not quite sure what that means. I think that there are certain types of armors that, or something that just may negate all archaic damage. I'm not 100% sure on that. It hasn't come into play in anything that I've kind of looked through yet. But it's probably a way of just negating things. But this is considered lethal. And you gain, the damage is 1d3. Vesk gain a unique weapon specialization with their natural weapons at 3rd level, allowing them to add 1.5 times their character level to damage rolls for their natural weapons, instead of just adding their character level as usual. Alright, and that's basically the main thing from our race. So, the next thing I want to do is move on to classes. So we got our classes here of like Envoy, Mechanic, Mystic, Operative, Solarian, Soldier, and Technomancer. So we're going to skip right to the Soldier, kind of like the same idea of making a 1st level fighter. So let's have a look here and see what our Soldier gives us. Alright. So our Soldier gives us stamina points equal to 7 plus our Constitution modifier, and 7 hit points. So whenever we gain a level, you gain the same number of stamina points and hit points every level. So it'll be those same sort of details each time. Our key ability score, so Strength helps you attack up close in melee and carry heavier weapons and armor, while your Dexterity helps you fire weapons from a distance and dodge returning fire. So you should choose either Strength or Dexterity as your key ability score. Once made, this choice cannot be changed. A high Constitution score allows you to soak up more damage. So I'm going to choose Strength as my key ability score. We also get our class skills. So we get 4 plus our Intelligence modifier ranks every level. And that includes first level. So unlike 3.5 D&D, or I think even regular Pathfinder where you get like ×4 at first level, that doesn't work in this game. You just get the regular number of skill ranks each and every level. The one thing is that if you put a rank into a class skill, you automatically get an extra +3 bonus on top of it. So it does pay to put ranks in, at least one rank in your class skills. And all the skill points that I have today are going to be going into class skills. But this is our class list. So we got acrobatics, athletics, engineering, intimidate, medicine, piloting, profession, and survival. So we'll check all of those off on our skill list when we get to it. We're proficient in light and heavy armor, basic and advanced melee weapons, small arms, long arms, heavy weapons, sniper weapons, and grenades. So I think we're basically proficient in all the types of weapons. And at first level, we get a base attack bonus of 1, we get a fortitude and will save bonus of +2, and a reflex save bonus of +0, and the other main ability that we get are fighting styles. So they got a ton of different fighting styles in this. I'm not going to go through each and every individual like set of options, what they provide, but there's Arcane Assailant, Armor Storm, Blitz, Bombard, Guard, Hit and Run, which is right there, so Hit and Run, and Sharpshooters. So I'm going to go with the Blitz ability. And so the thing with my big, huge vest guy, he's super strong, he looks like he should be, kind of lumbering and slow, but I want to theme him around being like surprisingly quick. And being able to catch people off guard and being so quick with his reflexes that he tends to go first in just about every combat. So that's what I'm going to be going with. So I'm going to take Blitz as the fighting style, so I'll just read this short description here. So it says, Blitz fighting style is all about using speed and aggression to get into the thick of melee. You increase your speed and responsiveness, gain abilities that make you better at melee combat than your enemies, and keep on fighting even when surrounded by foes. So that's kind of the idea that I want with this guy. He's going to be primarily melee focused, and again, just really quick to react and something that will catch people off guard. So the first level ability that we have is Rapid Response, which is you gain a +4 bonus to initiative checks and increase your speed, your land speed by 10 feet. So that's what we're going to have for our abilities. And so that's pretty much all that we need to look at in the book right now. So like I said, I have all this stuff written down here. So our mercenary, our race, natural weapons, our soldier, so key ability strength, base attack bonus +1, fort +2, reflex 0, will +2, stamina points 7 plus con modifier, and 7 HP. So we add that 7 HP to our 6 HP, so we know we're going to have 13 hit points. Primary fighting style is Blitz, so at first level +10 speed, +4 initiative, and we gain, every character gains at least 1 feat at first level. So the feat that I'm going to take for this guy is going to be Improved Initiative. I really wanted to try to make it a feat that really felt more science fiction-y, but again, I decided to have this sort of theme around lulling people into thinking that he's this big, slow, lumbering brute, when he's actually, incredibly quick on the draw and aggressive type of thing. So that's what we got for all that, and we're not going to get into the equipment yet. So let's start with our ability scores. And the way that ability score generation works in this game, by default. Now you can still do the 46 drop the lowest type of thing, but I actually like the way that they have the game set up with their default method. So what they have is a point buy system where all of your ability scores start at a base of 10. You then apply your racial modifiers, you then apply your theme modifier, and then you have 10 points to spend on your ability scores on a 1-for-1 ratio. So this is kind of a huge thing for people that do point buys in like Dungeons and Dragons, for example. And to me, this is still a great way to do it, because you get 10 points, you spend them 1-for-1. So the maximum that you can put into any ability score is 18 before like racial modifiers and stuff like that. But it's going to cost you 8 points to do that. So that's 8 of your 10 points. So if you want to put an 18 into something, then it's going to cost you quite a bit. And you're going to find, like, through what I'm going to do here with this character, is that having those 10 points, even with your racial and your theme modifiers, still doesn't make you super overpowered unless you want to burn all of your points into one thing. So for example, with my race, I get +2 to strength and I get +1 for my theme, so that's +3 total. If I wanted to put if I wanted to put 8 of my 10 points into strength, to have an 18 strength before those modifications, I could start first level with a 21 strength. But everything else is going to be very mediocre or average, and I don't really want to do that. I want to spread things out a little bit. So let's just actually get a brand new sheet of paper here. So we'll kind of go in. We can zoom in, I think, a little bit now. So we're going to have strength. Hopefully that shows up. Just actually give me one moment here. I'm just going to grab a marker to make it show up a little bit better here. So I'll be right back. Alright, I am back. For some reason I can't find my black marker anywhere, but since this is Starfinder, and if you look, the character sheet is pretty much all blue, which means that I'll be printing these off in grayscale, I think, from now on, because I just bought an ink cartridge, colored ink cartridge, and I used up a lot of the blue, so I don't really want to do that too much. But anyway, since blue is so prevalent, I thought I would grab my blue marker, and this should hopefully show up a little bit better on the camera. So I'll also kind of make the writing a little bit bigger. So we got strength, and then we've got our dex, our con, intelligence. When I fill out the sheet, I'll probably zoom in closer. Wisdom, and charisma. Alright, so we start with so we got our base, race, theme, and then points. So our base scores are 10 for everything. So let's put all 10s there. We have a total of so we got 10 points to spend. We'll put that up there. And so that is our base set of stats. So we got our racial modifier. I'll apply that first. So we get +2 to strength. So that gives us a strength of 12. We get +2 to constitution, which gives us a 12. And then we get -2 to intelligence, which leaves us with an 8. And then our dexterity, wisdom, and charisma all stay at 10. We then have our theme, which gives us +1 to our strength. So once we add that in, our strength becomes 13. Our dex, everything else will stay the same. So dex 10, constitution 12, intelligence 8, and then 10 for wisdom and charisma. So now I've got 10 points to spend. Now, like I said, I don't want to put all of my eggs in one basket. And as far as some of the skills go, for example, I want to have a pretty decent, I want my character to be intimidating. Like, I want him to, kind of unnerve people. So I'm going to want something in charisma. I'm going to want at least a +1. Now, I know that my Intimidate is a class skill, and if I put A rank into it, I'll get a +3 bonus. But I want to push it just a little bit further. I don't want to put a lot into charisma, but I at least want to have a positive modifier for any charisma-based skill. So I'm going to take 2 of my points. So we've got 10, so I'm going to take 2. And I'm going to give myself a charisma of 12. Alright, so another thing is, because I want to act quickly in combat, I'm going to be getting pretty big bonuses to my initiative from my class, as well as the improved initiative feat, but dexterity is still going to be useful for ranged attacks, as well as armor class, and certain other things. So again, similar to charisma, I at least want to have a +1 bonus to my dexterity, so I'm going to spend 2 more points. and give myself a 12 dexterity. Alright, so the last thing that I'm really concerned about at this point in time is my constitution. So I already get a +1 bonus, but I'd like to push that a little bit further. So I'm going to spend 2 more points, and I'm going to give myself a 14 constitution. So that increases my hit points, or my stamina points, I guess. Increases that. It increases my fortitude saving throws, and things like that. So again, I want to have a half-decent con as well. So we've got 6 points spent. We have a 12 in our dexterity, 14 in our constitution, 12 in our charisma. I'm honestly not too worried about intelligence or wisdom. So I mean, I could put 2 points into intelligence just to bring it up to 10. But again, I'm not overly concerned with it. I suspect that my soldier mercenary is not really going to be used for knowledge skills and stuff like that. So even though I get, I have culture, I reduce the DC checks of culture checks that I make for military stuff by 5. So I think it's also the DC for like mercenary stuff as well gets reduced by 5. So again, I'm not too worried about that. So I'm just going to leave my intelligence as is. I'm going to leave it at 8. And I'm going to leave my wisdom at 10. So I still have 4 points left. So all 4 of those points are going to go into my strength to give me a 17 strength. So there we go. So that's an odd number as well. So when I gain +1 to an ability score, which I think is at level 4, it's going to go in there and put me up to an 18 at that point. But those are the ability scores that I'm going to go with. So 17 strength, 12 dex, 14 constitution, 8 intelligence, 10 wisdom, and 12 charisma. So that's most of the legwork that we need to do at this point in time. So let's just go ahead and fill in, I'm just going to fill in some of my class features and racial features, and I'm just going to mark off my class skills. So I'll do that I'll mark off the class skills right now on camera, and I'll fill in the ability scores. So actually, let's fill in some of this stuff before I do some things off camera. So we're just going to zoom back in. Alright, so character name. The name that I'm going to go with is, I didn't really look up the names for the Vesk. I still kind of look at them almost like the Lizardmen off of Dungeons & Dragons. So I'm going to use my favorite Lizardman name, which is going to be SSETH. Alright, so the name that we're going with here is Sesseth. And that's actually spelled incredibly wrong. I don't know why I did that. Hold on. So there we go. So we got, wow, my handwriting is terrible. I apologize for that. So we got Sesseth is going to be our name. So our class is going to be Soldier, and we're level 1. Our race is Vesk, and hopefully that all shows up. And our theme is going to be Mercenary. Alright, our size is medium. And our speed, so with the speed, it's going to be modified by the armor that we're going to choose, because I will say that, right now I am going to be taking a suit of heavy armor for my character. So it's a base speed of 30, it'll be reduced to 20 by the armor, but again, because of his class abilities, he's going to get an extra +10, so it's going to offset that penalty. So the speed is ultimately going to stay at 30, but if I take off the armor, it will be 40. So actually, why don't I just do, so speed 30, 40, unarmored. Okay, and gender is going to be male. And our home planet, so it's Vesk, but I guess the Vesk system is just like a bunch of numbers. So I'm just going to say that we are from Vesk. Let's be from Vesk 3. Why not? Alignment. So my character is going to have a moral code, not necessarily a like traditional law type of thing, but he's going to have his own strict moral code that he follows. So he's going to be lawful. But he's also going to be neutral, because he will work for any particular organization as long as they don't violate his sort of personal creeds. But he's not too concerned with like the good and evil type of stuff. Deity, he's not going to have a deity, and player, I'm not going to worry about that because it's just me. All right. So strength, we know that's going to be 17. Dexterity is going to be 12. Constitution is 14. Intelligence is 8, Wisdom is 10, and Charisma is 12. So our modifiers is the same as traditional 3rd edition, or basically D20 Dungeons & Dragons onwards. So 17 will have the same modifier as 16, so it's 10 gives you a +0, and for every even number above 10, you get a positive modifier. So like at 12 it's +1, 14 is +2, 16 is +3, 18 is +4, and like the odd numbers sort of in between just have the same modifier. So for example, 17 would share the same modifier as 16, so it's going to give us +3. Dexterity is 12, which will give us +1. Constitution is 14, which will give us +2. Our intelligence is 8, so it's actually below the 10 average, so it's going to give us a -1 penalty. Wisdom will be 0 because it's our basic standard average ability score, and our charisma is going to be 12, which will give us +1. All right, so the next thing I want to do is just check off my class skills, and there's quite a few skills to kind of go through here, but our class skills are acrobatics, so just check that off. Athletics, check that off. So it's class skill. Like I said before, we're not going to put any ranks into it, so we will get a +1 bonus where it's already a class skill. Bluff is not, computers is not, culture is not, diplomacy is not, disguise is not, but engineering is, which uses our intelligence. Intimidation is, medicine is a class skill. And then we have piloting. So we don't have mysticism or perception or physical science, but we do have piloting that we can use. We also have profession. So the cool thing about profession is you get to choose which of the ability scores you're going to use for that profession skill. So I'm going to put down profession mercenary, and I'm just going to kind of underline the fact that I'm using, or circle the fact that I'm using charisma. And it is a class skill. So charisma is the ability score that I'm going to use because I have that choice. And then our last class skill is going to be survival, I believe it was. So I think on my practice character here, I think I checked off the wrong one. So I'm pretty sure stealth is not one that I kind of screwed up on. So pretty sure it's survival, and it is survival. So survival is also a class skill. All right. So that's all filled in. The next thing I'm going to do is just go through and put all my ability modifiers in. So I'm going to do that off camera. As well, I'm just going to fill in the second part of my character sheet, second page here, with just my abilities and languages and stuff. So we'll take care of that. Languages is common plus your racial and home planet language. So I'm going to have common and Basque. So I'm going to do that off camera, fill all that stuff in, and I will be right back. Alright, so I am back. So I got all the information filled in here that I said I was just going to do. So I've got all my ability score modifiers filled in under the skills. I've got my abilities all filled in. So I looked up what archaic means. And what it is if you're using an archaic weapon like a traditional like fantasy longsword or just a regular unarmed strike, it automatically deals 5 less damage. Unless the target isn't wearing any form of armor. So if you strike someone with an unarmed strike, if you deal less than 5 damage, you're just not going to do anything if they're wearing armor. But if they're not wearing armor, you get the damage through. With this one, with his unarmed strikes, he can always get the damage through regardless. I also filled in the feat improved initiative, because I did say that I was going to be taking that for my character theme. and I've got my Common and Vesk languages. So the next things that I want to do, just fill in, is on this sheet here, I want to fill in my carrying capacity. So what they do in Starfinder, instead of dealing with like total pounds and things like that, they have what's called bulk. Whoops, I forgot I zoomed in a little bit here. So they have bulk is what their main thing is. So instead of having to calculate the like total number of like hundreds of pounds worth of stuff, they work out carrying capacity a little bit differently. So your unencumbered carrying capacity, you can carry an amount of bulk equal to half of your strength score, rounded down obviously. So my strength is 17, so half of that rounded down, so it would be 16, and half of 16 is 8, so I can carry up to 8 bulk before I'm considered to be encumbered. Your maximum amount that you can have for your encumbrance is up to your strength score. So I can carry 17 bulk while still being encumbered, and overburdened is basically if you're carrying beyond your strength score in bulk, which you can never voluntarily do. But there are ways that you can gain that ability. Like, for example, if you go to a planet with a higher gravity, and so let's just say that, you know, I had 9 bulk that I was carrying, so I was encumbered, but we went to a planet that had twice the gravity. Suddenly, I'm carrying 18 bulk. So that's sort of how that works. So in this case, it's just going to be 18 plus, and I'm pretty sure that's correct. I looked it up as much as I could, so this is my understanding of it. So when we have things for bulk items, so all your equipment has sort of a bulk value. Some of it will have a dash, which means it's negligible, so you don't have to worry about those. Others will have a number, and that number would count against your encumbered amount. But other items also have the category L for their bulk. And what L means is that it's considered to be a light object. So it takes 10 items with the L designation before you get them to count as one bulk. So for those, you don't have to worry about those too much until you get 10 of them. So that's just that information there. So we'll do our equipment sort of last, as our sort of our last finishing details. So just a few other things that I want to fill in here. Fortitude bonuses is +2, Reflex is 0, and Wisdom is +2 from our class. So we'll zoom in a little bit more here now, I think. Just kind of look down. Alright, and our base attack bonus, we know, is going to be +1. Alright, so let's work out our saving throws and our standard attack bonuses. So we got Fortitude, which is our Constitution, we have +2, and then we have our Ability modifier, which is also +2. So we're going to get +4 total in our Fortitude saves. So we're good at shrugging off things such as poisons and whatnot. Reflex is based on our Dexterity, we get a +1 modifier for our Dexterity. So we got +1 total there. And our Will is based off of our Wisdom, so we get +2 for our class, +1 for our Ability score, which is going to give us +3 total. Alright, our attacks. So we got our melee attack. So melee is base attack, which is +1. Strength modifier, which is going to be +3. And that's going to give us a +4 bonus total with melee attacks, which is going to be our primary method of attacking. Ranged attacks is base attack bonus plus Dexterity modifier. So +1. Just getting ahead of myself here. So our total range is +2. So when we do use a pistol, we're not as good at it. Thrown weapons uses strength again, though. So with thrown weapons, we get another total of +4, which is really, really good. We'll also fill in our hit points and stamina points and our resolve points. So we did use strength is our primary score for our class. So resolve points is half our level. Whoops, let's go up here. So resolve points is half our level, minimum of 1. So at first level you still get 1, plus your relevant class ability score modifier. So we get +3 for our strength, and at first level we get 1. So we've got 4 resolve points total. And you can spend resolve points to stabilize your character, and I think it's 2 resolve points to stabilize. And you can also spend a resolve point after getting at least 10 minutes of dedicated rest, and you regain all of your stamina points. I think there's also a way that you can spend your stamina point or your reserve points to stay in the fight, sort of thing. So I think after you spend your stamina points or your resolve points to stabilize, you can spend, I think it's an additional 1, but I might be wrong. It may be more than that. But you can spend additional points to actually go up to 1 hit point, and you can kind of get back in the fight. So anyway, so we got 4 resolve points, our hit points. So we get for our race and our class, we get 6 for our race and 7 for our class. So we have 13 hit points. And we have a number of stamina points equal to 7 for our class, plus our Constitution modifier of +2. So we have 9 stamina points. So those 9 points will get used before we go into actual hit point damage. It's much easier to get stamina back than it is hit points. So, moving on. So that's all that information that we need there for now. So let's use our skill points. So the soldier class gets skill points equal to 4 plus their intelligence modifier. I showed that off earlier. We're only going to get 3 skill points, 3 ranks, because we have a penalty on our intelligence. But that's okay, because again, if you put a rank into your class skill, any class skill with ranks in it automatically gets an extra +3 bonus. So I already know what skills I'm going to put ranks into. So I got 3 to work with. So the first one, I'm going to put a +1 into Profession Mercenary. So that gives us 1 rank with our +1 for our Charisma, and our class bonus is going to give us +3. So now if I make a Mercenary check, I'm going to get a grand total of +5. So I can tell you right now, so Sense Motive is not going to get anything. Stealth, I'm not going to worry about some of these things just yet, because my armor is going to apply penalties to acrobatics, athletics, and sleight of hand and stealth. I think those are the only ones. So I'm not going to fill those ones in yet. I'm not going to put anything into survival either at this point. So at this level I'm not going to. So we're going to have a 0 modifier there. I'll save these ones for when I get my armor check penalty. Physical science is going to be -1 because we are not going to be putting any points into that at this point. Piloting is not going to be used either. We're not going to put a rank into it, but we do get +1 for our dexterity. So we get +1 to piloting checks. Perception, again, we're not going to put any ranks into that, so it's just going to stay at a 0, so we just make a straight roll. Mysticism, similar, 0, but I think you can use that one trained only anyway. Medicine is going to be -1 because of our intelligence, so you do not want this guy bandaging you, at least not yet. Life Science is going to be -1. Intimidate, so with Intimidate I'm actually going to put a rank into that. So we get +3 into that as well, so again we get a grand total of +5 to Intimidate. Engineering is going to be the third thing that I actually put a rank into. So I can sort of have something that I can do on a ship. Piloting I can do in a pinch, but I'm going to put some ranks into engineering as this character progresses. So I get -1 for my intelligence, +1 for the rank, and because it's a class skill, I also get that +3 modifier. So at the end of the day, the +1 and -1 cancel out, and I get +3 to my engineering. So I can actually do a half-decent engineering job. Disguise, I'm not going to put any ranks into that. And in fact, I've actually spent all 3 of my ranks, so Disguise is just going to stay at +1 for my Charisma. Diplomacy will also stay at +1 for Charisma. Culture is going to stay at -1. Computers is going to stay at -1. Bluff is going to be +1. And I can't do Athletics or Acrobatics yet because, again, Armor check penalty is going to influence that. But I am currently getting 3 skill ranks per level. Alright, so the last thing to do is to buy our equipment. Oh, actually, before I do that, let's get that initiative modifier put in there. So I get +1 for my dex. And my class option my class fighting style, which I forgot to write in here, so let's do that right now. So fighting style. Is going to be Blitz. Alright, so that gives me +4 to my initiative, and I took the improved initiative feat. So my miscellaneous modifiers, I'm just going to put +4 and +4. I'm going to break them down separately because they are two different types. So I get 1, 4, and 4, so I'm going to get a grand total of +9 to initiative. So like I said, the whole premise of this character is that he's going to be kind of, he's big and strong looking, you know, he looks like he's going to be kind of a lumbering brute, and then he's just going to surprise people by how quickly he goes in combat. So that's that. So our equipment, let's zoom all the way out. So for equipment, you start off with 1,000 credits to spend on your starting equipment at first level. That sounds like a lot. Trust me, that is not a lot. So let's just have a look here. So for example, here are our basic melee weapons. And as you can see, we've got, so each item in this game also has a level, and that applies for certain things. It's usually also just a good guideline as to when you can afford to get it. So what we've got here is, so we got like a baton tactical is 90 credits, you know, not bad. Battle glove cestus is 100 credits, you know, again, not bad. Survival knife we can get for 95 credits, which again is pretty good. But then you've got a dueling sword tactical, which is 475 credits. So if I were to buy that, that would be half of my starting funds just on the weapon. So I'm not going to do that. I'm actually going to go to two-handed weapons, or advanced melee weapons, I guess I should say, because I don't think it's a two-handed weapon. But the weapon that I'm going to take is going to be, see if I can get it to show up here. And there's a bit of a glare. So I'm going to be getting the Assault Hammer, which is 95 credits. It does 1d6 bludgeoning damage. It has a bulk of 1, and it's analog, which I think just means that you have to physically swing it. I think that's the main thing there. So we're taking that as our main melee weapon, and that's going to be the main weapon that we're going to use for now. We'll try to get like better weapons as we go, but as you can see, like for example, we got 95 for the hammer, which is okay. Longsword, just a regular longsword, is 375 credits, which again is kind of a lot of money for a D8 slashing, and you can see the prices just go kind of ridiculous after that, but again, you're looking at higher levels as well. So we've got our melee weapon now, so we're going to take our assault hammer, but we need I want to have a ranged weapon to fall back on, and so the ranged weapon that I've decided on is going to be this one here, the Azimuth laser pistol. So it is level 1 item. It's 350 credits, so that's going to be an expensive item as well. And I know it seems weird that I'm using a more expensive weapon as sort of like a backup weapon, but again, a D6 versus a D8 isn't that huge, and I can always get, you know, more credits later. But, you know, I still want sort of a half-decent, affordable sidearm. And so this one here does 1d4 fire damage. It has a range of 80 feet. Its capacity, so it has 20 charges. And each shot uses 1 charge, so there's the usage chart there. It also has a bulk of light, so it doesn't count unless I have 10 light items. And its critical says burn 1d4. I think that's what it does, is it does an extra, it does extra damage on the critical. I think that's the way that that works. And yeah, so on a critical hit, weapons damage is rolled twice. This entry lists any additional effect the weapon has when you score a critical hit, against the target. So if I get a critical hit with my Azimuth laser pistol, I roll 2d4 fire. Oops, I'm looking at the heavy weapons one there. Hold on. Yeah, so I'd roll 2d4 fire for the weapon, and I would also do an additional burn of 1d4. So just extra damage. I think arc hits a second person or something like that. So there's some pretty cool things that I can do there. So I've got my pistol and I've got my weapon. So you can recharge batteries on your weapons, but I also want to have some extras in case I get into a situation where I can't recharge. So batteries cost 60 credits each. So I'm going to pick up 2 more of those just in case. And the batteries work in just about every item, and I don't think you can put in a larger battery than what your weapon normally supports, as far as I can recall. I may be wrong on that, but I'm going to pick up 2 extra batteries so they have 20 charges in them each, so that makes a perfect thing to use if I'm in a situation where I can't recharge, or if a teammate might need something like that. I also want to pick up a few grenades, because why not? So the way that grenades work, they are a thrown weapon. You don't make an attack roll, I don't think, but instead the targets within the radius indicated get a dexterity, or not dexterity, reflex saving throw, and what happens is if they succeed, I think they take nothing, and if they fail, they take the damage. So I'm going to pick up 3 fragmentation grenades. So these are frag grenade 1s. They cost 35 credits each. They have a range of 20. And they explode for 1d6 piercing, and they have a radius of 15 feet. So again, the way that those works is the modifier, the difficulty class is 10 plus half the level of the item. So that's not going to, it's a level 1 item, so that's going to be nothing. Plus our dexterity modifier. So our hand grenades are going to have a reflex DC of 11 to overcome. So not the greatest, but again, something that can happen in a pinch, and it is an area effect that hits everything within a 15-foot radius. So that's that. The next thing I want is armor, and I'm going to choose a heavy armor because I reduce the penalty by 1 degree. Let's kind of go back out here a bit for now until I can get to the armor, which I probably just completely skipped over. Alright. Hybridimes, yep, definitely went too far. Here we go. So we've got our armor charts here. So we got our light armor and we got our heavy armor selects. I'm going to look at heavy armor, and the heavy armor that I've chosen is going to be the Golem Forged Plating 1. So it has a level of 1, the price is 250, and armor class in this game, there's 2 different versions of armor class, and technically a third. So what you have is you have your energy armor class and your kinetic armor class. So energy armor class is anything that does energy-based attacks. So for example, my pistol would be an energy weapon because it's dealing fire damage, but my hammer would go against kinetic armor class because it's just a bludgeoning weapon. So armors provide different bonuses for the different types of armor class. So our Golem Forged Plating gives us an energy armor class modifier of +2 and a kinetic armor class modifier of +5. So against like weapons that attack my kinetic armor class, I'm getting a +5 bonus to the armor. Maximum dexterity bonus is unfortunately 0, so I'm not going to get anything for my dexterity. But that's okay. I mainly wanted it for the initiative and just to have something with my ranged attacks and to have something with my reflex saving throw. So I at least wanted to have something there. The armor check penalty is -3, but with my ability, I'm reducing it to -2. And the speed is going to be -10, but that sounds bad. -10 feet, but I get +10 feet for my class feature. So again, that's going to negate. It doesn't have any upgrade slots, and it has a bulk of 3. Now again, this is going to be just starting first level armor. And the reason I chose that is, I could go with the ceremonial troop plate, as a heavy armor, but a lot of it's kind of the same stuff, and the +1 that I would get for the dexterity doesn't make it better than the Golem Forge, where I'm not getting my dexterity bonus, because it would be +1 for my energy armor, with the +1 for dex would bring up to +2. Kinetic would be +4, like 3 for the armor and 1 for the dexterity, so it's still better to use that armor in this case. And just the last things that I'm going to throw on my character is just some clothing and a backpack. And so let's just find that stuff real quick. Alright, so we got our personal items. So we got backpacks. I'm going to choose an industrial backpack. Has 1 bulk, costs 25 credits. And I'm going to choose environmental clothing. So the environmental clothing is each environmental outfit is designed for a specific climate in mind. Wearing such an outfit in an extreme environment condition. So I can, like cold climates, which I'll probably do it for cold climates, gives me a +2 circumstance bonus to fortitude saves against environmental cold dangers. Alright, sorry about that. My camera cut out, so I lost a little bit of what I was talking about just at the end of selecting the equipment. The environmental clothing, the cold environmental clothing, was the last thing that I had picked. So just looking at all the prices, I spent a total of 955 of my 1,000 credits. So I'm going to get it to focus. So I have 45 credits left, and I just filled in all the information, which I was going to do off camera anyway, so I only missed about maybe a minute's worth of discussion. So here we have all of our equipment. So we got our assault hammer, our azimuth laser pistol, frag grenades, golem forge plating, industrial backpack, our 2 batteries, and our cold environmental clothing. So this is the amount of bulk that they have. So the assault hammer was 1. The laser pistol is light. Frag grenades are light, and there are 3 of them. Golem Forge Plating has a bulk of 3, the Industrial Backpack had a bulk of 1, the batteries have no bulk, and the Cold Environmental Clothing had a light as well. So, I don't have 10 items that are light designation, so that doesn't count towards the bulk as of yet. So I've got 5 things that had the light designation, and I also had 5 bulk units total, with the hammer, the armor having 3 on its own, and the backpack. So we've got all that. The last steps, really, to finish off our character is just to fill in our acrobatics, athletics, stealth, and sleight of hand skills, and our armor class, and our weapon attacks, and that's it. So let's just zoom back in a little bit here. So we've got an armor check penalty. Normally it's -3, but our ability score, or our class feature, brings it down by 1. So for the armor check penalty skills, which are acrobatics and athletics, that's -2. Whoop, that didn't write so well. So -2 and -2, and it's the same thing down here for our stealth and sleight of hand. So -2 and -2. So grand total, we're going to get -1 to sleight of hand and -1 to stealth, as long as we're wearing the armor. And our athletics. So acrobatics uses dexterity, so that's going to be a -1 as well. But our athletics, so acrobatics -1, our athletics is getting +1 for our knowledge, our theme knowledge, trait, +3 for our ability score modifier, so that's 4, but it's going to get -2 for the armor, but we're still a +2 for our athletics. So athletics checks, we still get a positive modifier 2, even though we're wearing the heavy armor. Last things are our armor classes and our attacks. So let's do the attacks first, actually. We'll finish off on the armor classes. So the first weapon that I have is going to be the assault hammer. Alright, it is a level 1 item. It has an attack bonus, so it's melee. It's going to be +4. And the damage is going to be 1d6 +3 for our strength. Critical, there's no special critical abilities. The range is going to be melee. Type is bludgeoning. Alright, and ammo and usage none, special none. Okay, next we have our azimuth laser pistol. MUTH. Alright, it is also level 1. It's only going to get a +2 attack bonus. Its damage is going to be 1d4. Critical is burn, 1d4. Range is 80 feet. The type is fire damage. And the ammo and usage, so ammo is 20, usage is 1, and special, so no special trait there. We have our unarmed strike, so may as well put that in there as well. So I don't know if there's a level for that, so I'm just going to put that there. I don't think that truly matters. Attack bonus, it's a melee weapon, so +4. 1d3 plus 3. Critical, no, range is a melee. Type is, I believe, unarmed strikes, because it didn't specify anything different. It's probably going to be bludgeoning again, because the regular unarmed strikes are bludgeoning. And ammo and usage none. Special, I'm just going to put, oops, just going to put lethal, only because unarmed strikes normally aren't. And the last one is going to be our frag grenade 1. Grenade 1. Alright, ammo and usage, I'm going to put my boxes there. If anyone's wondering where the boxes came from, way back in the day, a chainmail miniatures game by Wizards of the Coast back in 2000, they had these little boxes for items, things that could be used either once or multiple times. So like wizard spells, or if it was a thrown weapon, like a thrown dagger, they would have how many they actually had to throw. So I just kind of got used to doing that and shading in the boxes. That's where that comes from. The grenades are level 1. Again, I don't think there's an attack bonus because you just throw it and it explodes. Damage is 1d6. And I'm just going to put 15-foot radius. Critical, none. Range is 20 feet. Type is piercing. And the special is reflex. So again, it's 10. The DC is 10 plus half the item's level. Plus your dexterity modifier, so reflex DC 11. And the last thing that we have is our armor class, or our armor class types. So we've got our energy armor class, and we got our kinetic armor class. So it's going to be real simple. Armor class bonus, we get miscellaneous modifier of 1 for our race, because they have the armor adept. So I am wearing armor, so I get that. I don't get a dexterity modifier because of the heavy armor, so I'm just going to put the zeros in there. But we have our armor bonus for our Golem Craft plate, and our Golem Craft plating. So it is kinetic energy, or energy is an armor class of 2, and kinetic is an armor class of 5. So for energy-based attacks, our armor class is going to be 13. And for our kinetic, it's going to be 16. Now, we also have AC versus combat maneuvers. So those are things like bull rush, disarm, things like that. And the thing with that is the AC versus those maneuvers is 8 plus your kinetic armor class. And I thought maybe it was 8 plus like these bonuses. But I looked online in some forums, and it is 8 plus the actual kinetic armor class that you have here. So, to do things like to bull rush or disarm or things along those lines, it's going to be against armor class 24, so 16 plus 8. Now, I know that sounds high, but I guess there are feats that allow you to get bonuses on your combat maneuvers. I think there are some class features that gives you bonuses on your combat maneuvers, and I guess it's something that they don't expect to be used a lot. Some items will also give you bonuses, like there are types of weapons, I believe, that have the disarm ability, so they get like a bonus on their attack rolls if you're using the disarm combat maneuver. So anyway, but that's that. So we have our character. Now I know this was kind of a long video, but again I wanted to go through all the steps and just kind of talk about, you know, the character creation as we went along. And sort of give my thoughts about it. Overall, I actually really like the way characters are created in this game. I like it better than like the 3.5 D&D versions and, you know, stuff like that. The biggest thing for me that really made me want to do more with this game at some point in the future is the point buy system is 1-for-1, and it's still not overpowered. So anyway, so we have our first level soldier. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope it was sort of helpful, and you know, if you were considering wanting to, you know, maybe get into Starfinder, hopefully this kind of makes the character creation a little bit easier for you. Anyway, really enjoyed making this video. Thank you guys very much for watching. Again, I hope you enjoyed, and tomorrow I'm going to try my hand at creating a starship, so that should be interesting. Again, thank you guys very much for watching. We'll see you next time.